of the diseases that affect humans come from animals.
All right, from that now let's get to our conversation where we're talking about corporate governance. And joining us is Edward Kerich, who is from PwC, social governance, also a partner there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, so let's get right into the conversation and look at corporate governance. First of all, when you talk about ESG in corporate governance, because this is a term that is always there. So what does this exactly mean?
Okay, so Kevin, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. These three pillars are together seen to encompass what is now referred to as sustainability in corporate world. So the environmental on the ESG talks about how businesses, in the way they conduct their business, in the way they do their day-to-day operations, affects the environment in which they are in. Whilst the S in the ESG is the social side, and that looks at how companies and organizations are dealing with the society, the people, the employees, and the community at large in conducting their business. And the governance side is how that organization is led. So you're really encouraged to look at governance, environment, and the social side, which together is seen as how do we measure how a company is sustainable.
Okay. And I'll just first of all start looking at, of course, the structure. Now, when it comes to governance, what is the first thing that should be looked at? Is it the governance? Is it the social aspect? Or is it the environment when you look at the three?
Okay, so you will find various organizations giving prominence to one of the three pillars, if we can call them that. Ideally, they should work together because the leadership of the company from a governance side decides on how they impact the environment in how they conduct their business. They decide on the S, on how they treat their employees and how they treat their society. So they work hand in hand together. You probably will not be able to really prioritize one over another, but in the interventions that a company will put in place, you may find in the way you conduct your business, you've been very environmentally unfriendly. And therefore, the policies that you will start putting in place will be to take care of the environment or your employees and the society in that context.
And for example, I mean, in a company setting, when you find the employees and the management or the leadership, they're not in the same page, what does this reflect when now we peg it to ESG? What does this mean? Does it mean that there is a part of their of that structure that they missed, or is there a part that they are doing that is wrong so that they're not connecting?
Yeah, so it's often an alignment issue on the strategy that the organization is running. If an organization has a clear strategy or to say this is our path or our preference and how we are going to respond and adopt ESG in our organization, we will be taking care of the environment, the staff, which is the employees, and the governance on that side. So the S side, the employee side, we'll talk about things like employee progression, the staff welfare, benefits, medical, healthcare, safety at workplace, the environment that you work in, is it toxic? Do you have work-life balance? Do you have, are you able to thrive as an employee and be productive within that? So when you find there's a mismatch, it means there's probably an alignment issue, which sometimes can be a communication on how have those policies been cascaded down for the employees to embrace. And I'll give you an example. Walking your corridors, I can see messages around switch off the lights when not in use. So that's a communication to employees to save the environment. It will save cost by cutting your emissions from lighting.
All right, so let's also look at a company now that has now decided, okay, we are following this and we are investing into this. What are the advantages, especially when you look at when all this, when the ESG is really invested in? At the end of the day, what is the advantage? Is this just there for, because someone might look at it and say, okay, this is just there because there are people in the company who are paid to make sure that the ESG is okay. Yeah. So when you're investing in this, what is the end goal, or what is the end gift that comes to you?
Okay, that's a very good question, Kevin. I think that the end goal or the objective will be that, one, we have to be in business in the future. how are we going to be in business in the future? By taking care of the environment in which we operate in, by taking care of the community and the society that we operate in, and by doing business in a way that is considered to be appropriate or good governance practices. So what does this mean? So for example, if you are an environmentally friendly company, you will generally find you will probably be in future longer than somebody who is not environmentally friendly. What we are seeing increasingly, consumers are more conscious on how has this product arrived at the market and arrived at the shelf, especially the younger consumers. There's nowadays, if you look at any electronic you buy, there's an indicator rating on the carbon emissions of that product. It can be food stuff that is going into another country. So you're able to conserve the environment. The other thing that we've seen is that organizations are better able to access favorable funding when you're involved in green initiatives, so be it solar, be it transport, be it the various ways in which you do business, you get that there will be a lot of goodwill that you get and access to funding. You get now banks increasingly asking organizations if you're going for financing, what is it for? How green is a project that they are funding? So they will be able to access cheaper funds in the market that are seen to be driven towards environmentally friendly. And then also from the staff and the society at large, the goodwill that a company gets by disclosing how well they are doing on ESG. One of the points I've seen in another market is that the value, a study was done on the value of a company in the stock exchange. And of course, the financial metrics and indicators can help you value a company. But there was a lot more than that valuation out of the financial numbers that were attributable to that company. And that was seen to be out of the non-financial disclosure, such as ESG, on how well the company is doing.
All right. And now that you've mentioned financial numbers, for example, on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, your company is listed there, and you're always on the list of the losses, the company that has made losses all the time. Almost, maybe we say in 2 weeks, your company has appeared there for like almost 5 times or 3 times, or maybe it usually appears there. Yeah. So what message does this send to the employer, the company itself, the employees themselves? Because at the end of the day, because if you're investing in the ESG, but you, on this other side, you're still also making losses, because you've mentioned about the financial numbers, and you're not looking at the profit side, you're always looking at the loss. So what does this mean for the company?
Okay, so I think from a financial position, and some financiers go through various cyclical and periods where they could be profitable, various where they could be going through certain changes which have occasioned them or resulted in the losses that they've realized. The point is that you will get the financial results, which can be a loss, but out of this non-financial disclosure such as ESG, it can paint a picture of, is this a company that is deemed to and possibly going to recover in the near future because of their plans, their strategies, and the business practices that they're engaging in? Or it might also give the indication that this business is aligned to or less favorable from an ESG perspective, and is therefore not going to be in business in the near future. So it can give hope. Financial is important and it cannot be ignored, but the non-financial side, how you do business, actually goes towards building and supporting the financial side.
All right, so even as we close, when you look at the future of ESG, how is the outlook going to be looking like, especially for corporates in Kenya? Because, and does every company have ESG incorporated into them? So what is the future when you look at ESG?
Yeah, an exciting outlook for me, one, and I'm looking forward to looking at the publications of companies that are going to be released around now. Most of the companies have announced their financial performance, but have not published their results. When they do publish their results, we expect to see a lot more disclosures on ESG. This is driven by various factors. The innovators, the people who've done it out of goodwill in the past, have already been disclosing, and there are a few companies in the market that have been disclosing their operations around ESG. But the regulators, the Nairobi Securities and Exchange, have issued guidelines expecting all the listed companies to make disclosures around ESG on various parameters. So I do expect all the listed entities will be making those disclosures. CBK, on the other hand, have requested the banks to make disclosures around the risk exposures that they have in their business around ESG. CMA previously issued guidelines around corporate governance that listed companies and companies under CMA need to disclose. Why are we optimistic going forward? It's a point of trust, and it can cut either way. I'm sure you've heard of fraudulent reporting,
yes,
greenwashing. What is really important is that the framework that is put in place to collate and put together this data, especially the non-financial data, has gone through a rigorous check to get that it is, one, complete, two, relevant in terms of material topics for that organization, and accurate. What you will find is that unlike the financial reporting, which has comprehensive controls and processes to aggregate them, most of these non-financial disclosures, like on ESG, don't have such control. So there is a risk that in the companies trying to do a good thing around those disclosures, end up disclosing information that may not be complete, may not be accurate, and it will erode trust. So it is important as we go into this cycle that those reports are comprehensively reviewed, supported, and justified.
All right, thank you so much. That's our time. We should have talked about more than that, but we are short of time. We need to just end it right there. Thank you so much for joining us. That is Edward Kerich, who is from PwC, and he's been speaking to us about corporate governance, how it's important for you to look at your environment, your social, and also how you govern your company. And I believe we've gotten something from there. So we're going to go for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to look at cross-border trade, and we'll be speaking to Kevin Nganga, who is country manager, Vato Kenya. So don't go too far.